Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucha Rewatch Season 2. This is episode 6, and we are going to be covering Lucha Underground Season 2, episodes 11 and 12 in this. And man, this show is almost better the second or third time around than it is the first time around because you pick up on more stuff, right, John?
Oh, absolutely, brother. This is a great batch of episodes right here. Some amazing in-ring action in these episodes, and even some cinematics, as I know get the both of us going. So I don't want to waste any time, brother. I want to dive right into these.
Absolutely, and hey, we've got some Caltag Star 96, Jason McGlade in chat. And before we get into the live review here, I wanted to just let everybody know to check out the description. Like the video if you're enjoying as we go. Leave a comment after the video is processed. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And then once you do subscribe, click on the bell icon to get notifications for when we go live. And then, of course, we have all of our Lucha Underground related playlists in the description. And actually, I can't even say all of our Lucha Underground related playlists are in the description, just the ones that are relevant to this series. So Lucha Underground Season 1 reviews and rewatch. The reviews, we did 38 of those, 36 maybe, I don't know. And then the Lucha Rewatch, we have 10 episodes up where we covered 4 hours of Lucha Underground Season 1 per episode. And then, of course, Lucha Underground Season 2 reviews and live reactions, as well as the ongoing playlist of this series, Lucha Rewatch Season 2. And on top of that, support Lucha Underground on Twitter, on Facebook, like everything, buy their merchandise, and support us, support TWitWoW. You can support us on Patreon by donating, and we have the link to that in the description. Or you can buy an official TWitWoW t-shirt, a Scum Squad t-shirt, a mug, a sticker. It's your choosing. And then, of course, follow us both on Twitter, like our Facebook, check out the subreddit, and now we can get into this. Up first, we have Lucha Underground Season 2, Episode 11. And we start this off, obviously, as always, with Lucha Underground with a recap. We go over the whole Vasquez, Mihan, and Reyes stuff. We go over Marty, Max, Sexy, Mariposa, and then, of course, Pentagon, Dario Cueto, and Matanza. And then we see Vampiro standing over a sink, holding his pill bottle. Dario Cueto shows up and says, "My brother went too far, but we're lucky that Pentagon is even still alive."
Yeah, I love this cinematic because, Dario is kind of walking that line between, being really smug to me, but also being authoritative. Like, yeah, I'm going to rub it in your face, but I'm also going to remind you that you can't do anything about it because of who's backing me up and really because of who I am on the whole. And yeah, I love that Vampiro responds because Cueto says, "I know there's a part of you that would love to bash my brains in more or less." And Vampiro says, "It's not a part, it's all of me. All of me wants to hurt you." And Cueto more or less says, "Yeah, that's not going to happen because Pentagon was lucky to survive and, be alive. I don't think you'll have that same luck." So a lot of tension here in this first cinematic. We see an interaction, very rare seeing guys like Cueto and Vampiro interacting in the same cinematic. And, I hope it keeps being rare because this was really just wonderful. And I love the tension here. And I like when people that you don't normally see in a room together get these kinds of interactions. This is really cool.
Yeah, man. I love that these guys interacted because, like you said, it's not something that we see very often. And I think that the power dynamic here is really interesting, too, because like you said, Cueto pretty much owns Vampiro. Like, he wants Vampiro and he appreciates having Vampiro around, and that's why he keeps him in his employ. But at the same time, he basically has Vampiro's destiny in his hands, because if he wants, he can have Vampiro get fired because he has that ability. He can have Vampiro get killed because he has the ability to sick his brother on him, or he could just kind of chill and let Vampiro do whatever. And because of that power shift, you really get the sense that Vampiro is helpless in this scenario.
I think this adds to the fascination of Cueto as a character, because I was thinking to myself while you were talking, Ashton, it's funny, and I always invoke Raw, and that's my go-to parallel. When you look at the authority figures there, I mean, maybe not so much anymore with Kurt as GM, but with Stephanie as commissioner and everything, they always give this air and attitude that everybody is expendable. but Cueto actually, like, he lives it because, like, he loves sicking Matanza on people and flaunting his weight around. So not only is he telling you that you're expendable, he's actually hoping that you're expendable because he loves violence that much. And I find that to be very, very fascinating character trait, especially for an authority figure, because it goes back to, you know, how do you rule a realm with no one in it? And, you know, if Matanza kills everybody, like, what's left to govern? But I don't even really know if Cueto would care that much. And I think I really love that about the character. So great stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So after this, we get into the temple with our first match of the night. Oh, you know what? Actually, I skipped ahead a little bit because after the whole Vampiro de Cueto thing, we get into the LAPD. We see Captain Vasquez with officers Meehan and Reyes. And she basically says that she needs real evidence on Dario Cueto. And then Joey Ryan, Officer Meehan, says that, well, basically he's an overachiever because he introduced himself to Dario and got into the trios tournament, teaming up with Reyes and his buddy Cisco. And then, of course, we know Cortez Castro is buddies with Cisco. So he says, no, it's Mr. Cisco to you.
What did you think of this cinematic?
This is pretty cool. I always enjoy when we get updates from this storyline because I feel like they're few and far between enough to keep me interested, but they're not rare enough that I forget about them. They keep it on the forefront of my memory, even when it doesn't like show up every week. And I really, it's weird because knowing what we know about Captain Vasquez now with season 3, it makes me really interested in her character. And it really, I just want to know like what caused her to take up such an interest in the Cueto clan.
Yes, excellent question, partner. And I gotta say for myself, like, I love the people involved here, and again, especially Joey Ryan. I mean, you could call it a Johnny Scumbag thing or whatever. I think the guy is fucking hilarious. I love how he carries himself. I love his mannerisms. I've got more praise for him, you know, later on in the show. But yeah, this cinematic was so fun. And you know something, dude? Like, this is why I love pro wrestling. Because if you really look at this, it really is kind of absurd. You know, like, oh, you know, you guys have to be really good wrestlers for us to bring this case home. But at the same time, it makes sense. Like, Cueto, he loves violence, he loves winners, and Vasquez, you know, says straight up, win those trios titles. You have those titles, you know, you have pretty much a key to Dario's door and, you know, just a direct line to him as a champion there in the temple. So, yeah, I mean, you could hear it and be like, oh, well, that seems silly. But then when you see how it's executed, you're like, you know what? No, that's entirely plausible, and that works. And that's really why I love this show so much. It just works on so many levels.
I mean, yeah, man. And that's the thing, too, is that, like, we're meant to believe that these two are undercover cops. And because of that, we pretty much have to believe that their goal is to blend in as much as possible. And you can't blend in if you're openly terrible at the thing that you're supposed to be there to do a job.
Exactly. Look, swap being a wrestler with any other thing we see cops doing stings for, like, oh, being a drug dealer or oh, this and that. Like, if you suck at it, you're gonna be exposed. No different here with pro wrestling, and I like that. It has the same gravity to it. It's just far more animated, you know, and everything else. But I love it, though. I just think it's done so well. So, yeah, this cinematic just put a smile on my face for sure.
Absolutely. All right. So then we are back in the temple because, like I said, I skipped ahead a little bit back then. And Vampiro is obviously a little bit annoyed about the whole Pentagon situation, but he admits that there's nothing he can really do about it. And we get into our first match of the night, Ivelisse versus Cobra Moon.
This was such a good women's match, but before I prattle on, what did you think about it,
I felt like this was the match that kind of won a lot of people over on Cobra Moon, because before this, I know that there were a lot of people online saying, like, oh, Cobra Moon sucks, she's so raw, she's so green, she's not good in the ring, all this stuff. And then when this match happened, I feel like a lot of people got won over on Cobra Moon as an in-ring worker. And you and I were we were really into her from the beginning. Even if we did admit that, like, she wasn't the best in-ring worker, we just enjoy her character work. And we also realized that, like, when she showed up, she was like a year and a half into her pro wrestling career. So she's still very new to the business. And relative to her experience level, she was way ahead of the curve because she's been everywhere at this point. She'd wrestled in Japan, in Mexico, in the US. She'd traveled the world, and this is less than 18 months into her wrestling career. So this is what we like to call somebody who is a late bloomer, but a late prodigy, really, because if she would do the exact same stuff a decade earlier, we would be calling her a prodigy, because I think that she got into the wrestling game at like 27, 28, 29 years old, somewhere around there. If she would have done all the exact same stuff a decade earlier, people would be saying, oh my God, this hot young prospect, she's such a prodigy. Well, we don't really discriminate based on age. So yeah, she's a freaking a late blooming prodigy, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Oh, so, I mean, look, dude, for me, I look at this match, and if you can believe it, because this is like our third time seeing this match now, I loved it more this time than the previous two times. I don't know what it was, but I love the submission exchanges. I love the back and forth. I love that Cobra Moon can infuse character in her offense, with the hissing and everything, and the snake-like movements, which we've remarked on before. That's nothing new. But yeah, I think if you really give her time, she can have an in-ring product that, even if it can't match her character work, it'll be good enough, and I mean, still be offset by the character work. It's like I was saying about Eric Rowan last night during SmackDown Live reactions. In ring, the guy may never be anything exemplary, but they can make a character out of him that would be, fantastic. I feel the same way with Cobra Moon. Now, maybe with time, her in-ring will be fantastic, as I felt it was here, because again, I love the submission work, the character elements in the offense. But even if she never gets to that plateau, that's okay, because what we've seen of the Cobra Moon character, I mean, I am just enthralled, and I love it, and I want to see more of it, and I gotta stay mum about it. But yeah, this was a really well wrestled match to me. Both these women, going back and forth. It was kind of a chess match, staying on Cobra Moon. I loved the double arm underhook suplex, and then transitioning into the butterfly lock. I felt like that was really cool.
Yeah. I was actually going to talk about that too. Yeah, I loved the butterfly lock. I thought that was great, but it's kind of funny that we're talking about a move called the butterfly lock, and yet here she is, a member of the snake tribe. So maybe we should call it like the Viper lock or something different like that.
Yeah, there you go. And I mean, Ivelisse, so good in ring. She's one person that, and we've said, could really set the temple ablaze. Things have just got to come together for her. I mean, she, at this point in time, is 1/3 of the trio's champions. And I like how they, really say, she's a champion. She's higher up on the hierarchy. Because I know at one point, Cobra Moon went for a type of cover that may have been a bit lax, and Vampiro calls her out, and he says, look, when you're in there with a champion, you can't do that. So I like that they make that distinction. I like that there is a hierarchy that clearly matters in Lucha Underground, and it's enforced even in matches like this. And Ivelisse does get the win with the Sunset Flip Powerbomb, and great finish, kind of out of nowhere, which I liked. And yeah, I felt like this is Cobra Moon's best match in the ring. And I think this is a match that, like you said, really opened a lot of people's eyes to, well, maybe we shouldn't write Cobra Moon off just yet. And on Ivelisse's side, I mean, damn. She can work a damn good match.
Man, it's such a shame that she's had such bad injury issues and such bad luck regarding injuries, because she is, to me, I feel like she is everything that I think the Lucha Underground brass wants Sexy Star to be.
Oh, dude, I completely agree with you. I think Ivelisse's biggest enemy just has been, again, misfortune. If she could ever, get the ground underneath her feet and really be able to run towards what she wants to do in Lucha Underground, I don't think anybody could stop her. I think she has the fanfare. She has the ability. She has the character, with the baddest bitch in the building and everything. She just needs, in fact, really, if anything, and this may seem like a weird parallel, I think her and Hideo have the exact same problem in NXT.
Yeah.
Because I think if they could just get the ground underneath their feet, who could freaking stop them? They both have everything you would want to be like that face of the company or that world champion or however you want to put it. It's just they can't catch a freaking break. I mean, Ivelisse here, she gets the win, but I mean, as we'll talk about later in the season, a bit of a rough go. But I mean, this was a great match, and it's matches like this that I will never give up on either of these women, because they're tremendous at what they do. Simple as that.
Yeah. All right. So after the Ivelisse Cobra Moon match, yes, Ivelisse does win with a running Yoshitonic. And then we get a kill shot vignette, John. And I know kill shot is a favorite character of both of ours, but I feel like you kind of have a little bit more of that fanfare over him. So I want to hear your thoughts on this vignette. War
time it's
isn't
just
sexy.
war isn't sexy. Perfect soundbite. And I love the line here, 37 kills, all bad guys, or so they told me. I love that line there because soldiers do come home a lot and think, did I do well over there? Did I do the good that they said I could do over there? Were we really the good guys? I mean, you even see that now with this whole campaign in the Middle East and now potentially Syria going forward. Soldiers have those kinds of thoughts all the time. So I think Killshot is so realistic in that regard. He's not a caricature of a soldier. I really believe it. And I love just the effects and the tone of the cinematic with him, shooting and sniping people and taking all those people out. And he says, I fight to forget. I fight because I can't. And this one cinematic, it's funny because you and I ate this shit up when we first saw it. I think this was really the cinematic, bro, that made people say, you know what? I can invest in Killshot. He is going places. He's not just that hand with a cool look, a cool mask. There's actually a character being formed here, and it's a character I can invest in. I mean, what did you think about it? Because I think you always articulate cinematics beautifully, and this is definitely one of a heavier nature. So take us through your thoughts.
I loved this when we first saw it, and I think I love it even more the second or third time around because I think this was around the time that we started watching Lucha Underground, both with the live reactions and then after everything else as a second viewing. So I think this is actually our third viewing of this, but I love this because the whole thing to me is Killshot was considered elite. He was in the elite class. He got put into hostile territories to get the job done with like the best of the best. But he even said sometimes the best just isn't good enough because he got captured. And the crazy thing to me is that like they make it very clear in here that he doesn't know if his brothers made it out alive. And to me, that was like the ultimate foreshadow. Like, what if one of them did?
Yeah. Because what we would come to know later, which we'll stay mum about, it's very interesting looking back on this cinematic now and just how much it was kind of nudging us towards the future.
Yeah.
And, I love it. I love that they gave Killshot this, who on the indies is Shane Strickland, who I think is still setting the world on fire. I think his profile rises with every event he's a part of. And, I mean, this is a guy that if he already isn't a big deal, like as big as he should be, give him another year or two at the trajectory he's going. I think that's a name that's going to be on everybody's lips. And yeah, the Killshot character is just a gem. And yeah, this cinematic, I love this. This actually is probably one of my favorite cinematics that Lucha Underground has done, period, because of just who it was for and the backstory. And just, again, it never became a caricature. It never became overdone. There was kind of a somberness to it, really, with Killshot's delivery. And I just really, really appreciated that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, the whole thing with me with Killshot is like he even straight up said the U.S. government, according to the U.S. government, his whole squad that ended up, that he had to like, they got captured and he had to escape and stuff, don't exist.
Yeah, I love that too. See, again, I love that he spoke of the government and who he fought for. He didn't speak of them in these idealistic terms. In fact, if anything, I mean, the best word I could give, because I don't want to say it was like wholly negative either, but there was skepticism there. There was definite skepticism and apprehension how he spoke about them, like, oh, we don't exist, or again, killed 37 people, all bad guys, or so they told me. And I think that line is very important because what weighs on this man's conscience?
Yeah.
And that's what I think is
that's
so
the
alluring
thing
about the
too,
Killshot
is
character.
that, like, he pretty much straight up said, not even pretty much, he did legitimately say, I'm a man with no identity, with no face, and all I have left is that killer instinct and hope that my brothers will find their way back to. So to me, like, not only is this him getting that like sympathetic element because no identity, no face. He has nothing left but the killer instinct. Like that's straight up just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that you were scarred this badly mentally and emotionally. Like I feel bad for this guy, but then at the same time, he hopes that his brothers will find their way back too. And that can be interpreted as a babyface because he hopes that his brothers are okay. Or you could interpret that in a heelish way because, like, oh, well, yeah, what good is hoping when you didn't do anything to help him?
Yeah, I mean that's very true. That's very true, and I just love everything about.
It's like the freaking
Yeah.
it's like the Rick and Morty line that Beth says about how Jerry, do you wish that homeless people had homes? And he's like, yeah. And then she's just like, well, are you going to do anything to help them find homes or get homes? And he said, no. And then she goes, well, what good was the yes then?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. And that's something that Killshot, may have the answer to. And again, there's a lot that we know now that looking back on this just gives you a whole new appreciation. And yeah, definitely one of my favorite cinematics. Again, this was a masterpiece.
Yeah, and that right there is exactly why I'm looking forward to the continuation of season 3. It's going to be awesome.
Absolutely.
So then we get into backstage segment here. We get Famous B runs up on Mascarita Sagrada, and he calls him, this was kind of strange, he called him a Pequeño Tigre Blanco, which is basically the little white tiger.
Yeah, that was cute. And he pretty much gives Mascarita his card, because...
Well, yeah, I mean, he straight up says, I think you're a great talent. I think you could be a huge star. Call me.
Exactly. 423, get fame. And my favorite part of this wasn't even the interaction, but it's when Famous B starts like walking away after giving the card, because
that transition though.
See, like, I know what I'm saying is obvious. One, I love the transitions, and two, like, I know that everybody is in the same universe. Duh. But I love that we get to explicitly see it. Like, you normally wouldn't get to see, like, Famous B passing by the Mac, like, if it was anywhere else. I love that we get to see that because it is a temple. And no matter how big it is, people are bound to run into each other that normally wouldn't. And they share kind of a look. Sure, they don't really say anything to each other, but I love that because I think it makes the temple feel more intimate, that all these people are in the same space together and could bump shoulders at any moment. I really appreciate that.
Like, how often in WWE do we see, like, Sheamus and Cesaro giving each other a pep talk, and then they walk out of the locker room, and the camera pans over to another corner of the locker room, and we see, like, the Shining Stars talking about a plan to attack a team or something like that, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. Because that's really what I'm trying to articulate. I mean, obviously, they're all in the same universe, but it's nice.
The thing is, like, with WWE, we'll see a team or a person or a group or an entity like walking through the hallways and passing by people, but they never use that element to transition from one promo or vignette to another like they did here in Lucha Underground.
Yeah, I love it.
Because with Lucha Underground, we go from Famous B offering Mascarita Sagrada his card and telling him to call him. He walks out of the gym, the Mac walks in, and without any cuts, we see the Mac start talking to Sexy Star about how he got put into a trio with with Marty and Mariposa.
Yes, and I love that because I think not only it's one thing to have a universe, it's another thing I think to have a universe with a certain flow to it, and that's what this stuff does. It really gives the Lucha Underground world, the Luchaverse, if you will, a flow that I just welcome with open arms. And yeah, Mac talking to Sexy, saying, "Look, I really want you there for moral support," and Sexy saying, "I'm sorry, I can't." And he says, sooner or later, Marty and Mariposa are going to have to get what's coming to them for what they did to you. I just hope you're there to collect. And then Mac leaves. And again, I do love this friendship. I love how they've portrayed it. And then Sexy, consumed by this fire, really starts doing those, those curls there with those weights, and then just kind of throws it down. Like she does get fired up. She does get angry, knowing that Mac is right. And yeah, unfortunately for Mac, he's got to team up with those two. And it's all about the trying to recreate the next Team Havoc for Cueto in this trios tournament, and Mac has to bite the bullet, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. kind of feel bad for Mac here. He kind of got screwed over. I was like, when we first saw this, I was hoping that the Mac and Sexy Star would be in a trio with like a Pimpinela Escarlata or like a Bengala or someone like that. But no, because Cueto is so obsessed with these unlikely trios, he's putting the Mac with Mariposa and Marty the Moth. The only good thing about that team is the continuity among the first name letters, because Mac, Marty, Mariposa, that's catchy.
Yeah, that is true. That's a nice catch, dude. And I gotta say, I chuckle.
The Mac versus the Moth. Sorry, I had to go ahead.
No, it's all right. I have to chuckle thinking about Dario's like obsession with recreating that magic when he tried destroying that magic in the first place when it just happened, because he would just sick the crew on him and everything back in season 1. So now he's like,
you know what though? I don't know if that was necessarily him trying to destroy it, but what he was really doing was setting himself up for a can't lose scenario, because if the crew would have won those matches, then he would have been like, oh, these losers, they didn't stand a chance. They should never have been champions in the first place. But because they beat the crew, now he gets to say, I created this team and I made them stronger. Like,
yeah, that really is just I mean, I think I've said this before about Dario. I think I've just said this before on TWitWoW in general. The people that terrify me the most, because I know people like that in my own life, are those that can just rationalize everything and like never fall into that pit hole. And
no wonder you love Kevin Owens so much.
Dude, SmackDown should have drafted him so he could provide for his family. I was so happy he said that on Talking Smack last night. I'm like, yeah, you should feel like shit, urchins. But yeah, this was great. I love this, and Sexy. You can very well see that she's struggling internally and emotionally, and we'll see if Matt got to her or not. So what came after this?
After this segment, we had our second match of the night: Cortez Castro, Mr. Cisco, and Joey Ryan versus Marty the Moth Martinez, Mariposa, and the Mac. So Marty the Moth, Mariposa, and the Mac. So many M's.
I adored this match. Mainly, I adored the opposing team in Castro, Cisco, and Joey Ryan. But before I give my thoughts, what did you think about all this, dude?
Yeah, I mean, this was fun. I love being able to see Castro and Cisco work face. They're great when they're allowed to kind of work those fast-paced matches, and this was a lot of fun because of that, I think.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, dude.
And then, of course, sleazy Joey Ryan just comes in and ruins everything.
He's my spirit animal, dude. Like, of course, Johnny Mundo's my everything, but if I was to ascend forms, Joey Ryan is one of the forms, because I mean, first of all, that chest hair is perfection. I don't know how he consistently uses the right amount of baby oil. And just all of that sleaze, though, like, he's just amazing. I love this man so much. I really should watch more of what he does, like, outside of Lucha and PWG. Of course, we all know about the whole penis power and everything. But, yeah, I think he's actually – I don't know why I didn't put him on my list. That's why I'm glad that it's going to be a regular series, because I think next time around he probably actually will crack one of my lists, because I just see him. Yeah.
Are you going to start watching DDT?
Maybe. I hear it is a crazy fucking promotion. I don't know if my mind could handle that, but for Joey Ryan, it just might be worth it. But yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, dude, about Cisco working Technico, and putting my Johnny Scumbag aside, like, it just works. Like, I gotta say, I've really grown an affinity for guys like Mac, like Cisco, and I'm sure you can name so many others in that category that have a certain look. And, like, mentally, you ascribe to that look a certain style, and then they work contrary to that style, but they do it so well that it, like, blows your mind and realize, like, wow, maybe I shouldn't go in with these preconceived notions. I love performers like that, because I think you look at Cisco and you're just like, oh, does he really have that Lucha Libre flair to him? And then when you see that he does, you're like, man, that is some good shit. Doesn't take long for the match to break down. On the Triple M side, Mac, Marty, and Mariposa, they all start arguing. I know Caltag Star really loves Mariposa, but she kind of shit the bed here for her team, because Mac was going for a dive, and she ended up getting in the way and playing with her pigtails and stuff. So Mac's just like, oh, man, fuck this. He kicks off Mariposa, and then his dive takes out everyone. Great visual there. then Marty and Mac, they start, I mean, it goes from aggressively tagging each other to chopping each other. And then Mac's like, well, fuck you too, stuns him. And then Marty gets the double team finisher from Cortez and Cisco, you know, that shatter machine. And then Joey Ryan, he's such a me. He comes in, hooks the leg, 3 count, and then I love him after, I won, I did it. I'm like, yes, Joey, you did. Oh my God, he was the MVP of that team. I mean, he got the winning pinfall and everything. He's just fantastic. I mean, do you have any praise you want to heap on Joey Ryan? Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's really good at. Let's see. What is he really good at?
Applying baby oil.
He's really good at applying baby oil. He's really good at apparently sucking on lollipops, I've heard. He's really good at being sleazy. That's a big one. That's a really big one.
Yes.
But most importantly, he's really good at stealing glory.
You mean attaining glory collectively for the unit, and I'm not just talking about his penis. I mean, he got the winning pin for his team. What more do they want?
He stole the winning pin for his team.
He was the legal man. What did you want him to do? Wait for them to get back on the apron so we could formally tag out? I don't think so, good sir. I don't think so.
Just saying.
Oh, God. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this match, though, dude. In all seriousness, great start to the Trios tournament because this was our first match of the tournament. And, yeah, Joey Ryan, Cortez Castro, and Cisco move on. What a collection of misfits.
Yeah. So then, post-match, Mariposa attacks the Mac. And then Sexy Star comes out to help him. And Mariposa tries to play her mind games on Sexy Star, but finally, Sexy Star has had enough, and she fires up and fights back.
Yes, which got a great reaction from the crowd, and she put a hurting on Mariposa. I won't say it was quite a beating like she stole something, as our good friend Drivera so often likes to say. But yeah, it was pretty fierce. Sexy, you know, letting her know, like, I'm taking my strength back, I'm taking myself back, you know, away from you. And yeah, it was really cool seeing her stand up for herself. You know, Matt kind of cheering her on. I think he even like shouted like, "Yeah, she got that ass. She whooped that ass." So like, they know like, Sexy's focused. She's in the zone, and we'll see where they go from here.
I mean, yeah, man. This whole thing. I don't want to say too much, but this whole thing really kind of reaches a crescendo in episode 19, and we'll get to that in like a month.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there, all in due time, my man.
So up next, oh wow, let me look real quick because I forget what happened next. Azteca Jr. at the roof, on the roof of the temple, obviously then joined by Rey Mysterio Jr. And Azteca thinks that Matanza killed their mentor, and he wants to kill Matanza because of that. And Rey kind of acknowledges that, but then he's just like, "Look, man, you got to think about Aztec Warfare 2. You got your ass kicked by Matanza. We aren't really in a position to try and take him on. So for now, you fight for the tribe's pride."
Yeah. And again, we see it. I remarked on this very early on when we first watched it. Azteca very clearly has this mindset of just vengeance and hatred, whereas Rey, it's about, you know, pride and honor and justice. And they're having this conversation, and I love that Rey real talks him. He says, look, it's one thing to think about it. It's one thing to, like, harbor that desire. But, man, he kicked your ass. So, like, don't go thinking that desire is going to materialize anytime soon. And Rey's saying, like, baby steps. And that's where the Trios tournament comes in. And then when Azteca says, who's our partner going to be? Puma steps forward, and he says, me. And then we get that triple fist bump. They look out into the sky together. And it symbolizes that open horizon that they're going to conquer because holy fuck, what a triumvirate. This was Puma's first word in Lucha Underground. Yeah, that's right. He finally spoke. God damn. Wow. Unreal.
Yeah, and then they have this trios match next week, and they talk about how they're going to kick some ass. And then Puma's just like, damn right we are. And those were his second, third, fourth, and fifth words in Lucha Underground.
Yeah. He speaks. Yeah, this was great. I love the visual of them again, bumping fists in solidarity and looking out into the open night together and just being like, yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it right. And Ray trying to be that mentor, that positive influence for these guys. And I've got to say, I've really, I don't know what it's going to be like the continuation of season 3, which I can't wait for. But looking back on it, I've really liked how Ray has been utilized in Lucha Underground. The kind of character he's taken on is kind of like almost sage-like, having so many years in the business and like guiding these guys, but not even in the sense of like, oh, I'm going to give you pointers for your match. No, it's more like, cultivating character, if you will. And I think it's really worked out for him. And yeah, this is a fine cinematic.
Yeah, man. So once this cinematic finishes, we're back in the temple, and we have our third match of the night, Phoenix versus Matanza. And really, I say match, but this wasn't much of a match at all.
Yeah, I echo Vampiro's sentiments. I can't call this a match, Matt. It was more like a slaughter. And that's really what this was.
Which is what Matanza is Spanish for.
Exactly. Dude, honestly, I know Phoenix got some offense with like mainly kicks to the head. I know he like threw a lot of super kicks and stuff, but the one spot I can't get out of my head was the German that Matanza did to Phoenix in the corner. Because I'm like, he is dead. And of course he wasn't, because Phoenix even still got a little bit of offense after that. But I'm like, if you would have pinned him after that, I would have bought it. That looked sick. So yeah, what did you think about this match?
I mean, really, the match I really don't have much to say about. The match it wasn't much of a match. It was more of just an extermination, honestly. I feel like Matanza's goal wasn't to win. It was to wipe Phoenix off the face of the earth.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I said at the beginning when we were talking about that opening cinematic, Dario really does perceive everybody as expendable. And it's not even towards the end of making the temple great. No, it's towards a more base end, feeding his lust for violence. The temple is just a manifestation of that lust as far as I'm concerned. Because when he tells Matanza, don't stop after he gets the win with Wrath of the Gods, which is still a beautiful fucking finisher, by the way, you really see that, yeah, this isn't about making the temple a great arena for fighting or this and that. I mean, it may be part of it. I'm not saying it's entirely a lie, but I think we really see what Cueto's after in its purest form when he continues to sick Matanza on Phoenix long after the match is over. Feed me. Feed me. Feed me. I want more violence. And yeah, it is a sick relationship, but it's a relationship that I love and is played out so well on TV. And speaking of relationships that play out well, unlikely savior for Phoenix, Katrina on the mic saying stop, and Ashton, I'm going to let you take the rest because your boy got some shine here to close this episode out.
By the way, before we do get to that, I did also want to say, I don't know if you remembered or noticed, but during the Phoenix Matanza match, Cueto was constantly yelling, "Sangre! Sangre!"
Yeah, I did hear him say that. Now, what does that translate out to again?
Blood.
Ah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm actually amazed that, like, for this match, Cueto didn't just grab a seat and produce like a box of tissues and some lotion, man, because goddamn, like he really lets it show. He really lets it all hang out. Yeah, I fucking love this shit. I love Cueto's character, man. So good.
Yeah, Cueto is the goat. So yeah, once we get past the match, we do get the post match, and Katrina shows up at the top of the temple steps, and in a very desperate, almost pleading voice, as Matanza is trying to literally murder Phoenix, she yells, "Stop!"
Yes. Yes, begs Matanza to stop, and then, like I said, handing you the reins earlier, your boy got some shine here. So what'd you think about that?
Yeah, my boy Muertes beat that ass and became, I believe, the first person to really make Matanza seem vulnerable.
Yeah, and you know what? As great as that was, my favorite part was just the looks that everybody exchanged with each other. Mill looking at Phoenix and then taking his leave. And then Phoenix looking at Katrina, and Katrina looking, I don't even really know what her expression conveyed, but,
Forbidden love!
Forbidden love, indeed. That's one of my favorite angles going in the temple right now. I got to stay on that. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, just in my own crude way, it's just her saying, "I've got you," and I'm not gonna lose you because of somebody else. I may destroy you, as she tried to only a few weeks prior, but I'm not gonna let anybody else have that distinction. It's kind of like the love-hate relationship Vegeta and Goku have for each other. I can kill you, Kakarot, but nobody can kill you but me. So, yeah, that's how we end episode 11. Final thoughts before we go into episode 12?
Nah, man. Let's get into it. Let's get right into episode 12. We started, of course, with a recap of Gift of the Gods, Mil Muertes versus Phoenix from the episode we just discussed, and a couple of different clips from Aztec Warfare 2, specifically Cage Mundo and Matanza's Dominance. So then we get into the show itself, and we start off in Dario Cueto's office with
Johnny Mundo, Taya, and Cage. Dario, in his infinite wisdom, decides rather than giving Johnny Mundo a rightful Lucha Underground Championship match, which he's deserved forever now, no, actually, instead, I'm just going to continue to make your life a living hell. I want my unlikely trio. I mean, my boner for it isn't as big as my boner for violence, but still, this desire needs to be satiated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you, Johnny, in a match with teaming with Cage and Taya for my trios tournament tonight. And you know the best part about this and why I love her so much? Cueto tried putting the moves on Taya. Oh, I don't believe we've met. And Taya immediately, yeah, I know who you are. And just staying close to Mundo. Why? Because you don't downgrade from perfection, Dario. Fucking read a book, why don't you? And Cage, because he has an IQ of -5, is like, oh, I have an idea. Why don't you give me a match with Mundo tonight? Because, I mean, yeah, that's going to fly over well. And then Cueto says, no, actually, I like my idea better. And so, Cage tries doing his thing. Well, fine, I'm going to win the tournament. You know why? Because I'm not a man. And then Cueto mercifully cuts him off. Probably the best thing he did in the cinematic. And he's like, oh, yes, we know you're a machine. And then Cage's like, right. And, with his pride wounded, he leaves. And then Mundo, rightfully mocking Cage, oh, I'm a machine. And, they're having a good laugh, which Cueto could have joined in on if he wanted to be cool for once in his life. Is like, no, just make sure you win the tournament. First of all, don't tell Mundo what to do. Second of all, winning is what he does naturally. So again, don't tell him what to do. But then Mundo puts his shades on like a badass, and him and Taya, being the winners that they are, leave because they got this shit. You know what I'm saying, fam? You got me?
Of course. Yeah, naturally.
Absolutely. So do you have anything you want to contribute to this? Or did I give a perfect summation here?
I mean, your summation was truly flawless, and I wouldn't want to ruin it, but I do just want to kind of add in that I love that everyone and their mother is sick as hell of Cage thinking that they don't know what he's about to say.
Yeah. I mean, I genuinely adore Cage, but it's like we do get what you're about at this point. Just run with it, bruh. You don't have to remind us.
But it is programming.
I know. He's short-circuited.
He is barely sentient at this point. We just need to cut the guy a break. Gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, I personally don't want to, but, I guess we will. Because you're a good guy, and if you think we should, I trust you.
Yeah. All right, so up next, we had our first match of the night, and it was Argenis versus a returning, well, really both guys returning, both Argenis and his opponent, Killshot.
Yeah, and we see, like, he's sporting the dog tags. He, hangs them, like, on the ring post in the corner. He kind of, puts his head down, gets himself psyched up. And, yeah, we get our match. I like that commentary did note the military background and how it was interesting, Killshot with the dog tags. And as far as the match goes, brother, I'm going to hand the reins over to you since I talked endlessly for the opening cinematic. What did you think about this match?
Yeah, this match is fine. I really enjoy seeing Killshot back in action. One point in this match, he hit a Fosbury flop, and it was beautiful, and it looked completely effortless.
It did. He is so freaking good, dude.
And
But then
like he
again,
landed
yeah.
on his feet and everything. Like that's man, he's freaky. It's weird.
That's what always amazes me about dives of like that level of sophistication, because it's not just a simple like vault over the rope. Like, no, you've got the twist and everything, and you still stick the landing. Like, blows my goddamn mind. Yeah, what else do you think about this match here as far as in ring goes?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was solid. It was fun. Killshot was obviously the standout. Although I do like Argenis. I like that Argenis is kind of a luchador, but at the same time he can be an anti-luchador because if you try flippy shit on him, he can wreck your face.
Right.
With like power bombs and power moves and stuff like that. But yeah, man, Killshot obviously kind of the star of the show here, and he ended up winning with. Did he ever hit the double stomp?
I thought he did, but I mean, we both know he didn't win with it because he had that electric chair
Right.
kind of like modified one-winged angel finish.
Yeah, because it was. I remember seeing it for the first time, and it was like a hybrid of Kenny Omega's two most well-known finishers: the one-winged angel, and then the Kreutz Wrath, where he'll have the guy up in the electric chair and then drop him into like a high-angle bridging German suplex. Well, he dropped the guy down into that high-angle waist lock, but then he did the one-winged angel where he tucks their head down and pile drives them. So,
Right.
yeah, Killshot, they actually, I believe Stryker actually called that finisher the Killshot. So, kind of awkward that a guy named Killshot's finisher is also called the Killshot. It's like a Shining Stars situation, but
Yeah.
hey, man, what can I say? It was great looking, and he picked up the win here.
Absolutely. Nothing more you can say than that. Let's move on. What came after this?
Yeah. So up next, we had Black Lotus standing guard outside Dario Cueto's office, and El Dragon Azteca Jr. shows up and asks how she can work with him. And she basically says that he held her hostage, and if she wouldn't have cooperated and joined him, he would have killed her, or had her killed, obviously. So now she's just kind of, keeping an eye out. And then he's just like, oh, well, who killed El Dragon Azteca? And she says that the monster did, even though she did. Because obviously she's not going to admit to that when a guy's clearly out for revenge on whoever killed the guy. So she says the monster did, and then she says that she'll keep an eye on him. And that's pretty much the segment here.
Yeah, not really much more you can add. I like the interaction between these two, given what we do know. And that's even going back to season 1, so not even really spoiler territory. And, I like that Lotus, like her poker face never really dissolves. She delivers everything with a calmness and a confidence. And Azteca, I mean, you could see, like, even in this cinematic, and I like this about the character, because narratively it has great payoffs later on. And by later on, I do mean season 3, so I can't talk about them here. But he is a guy that wears his emotions on his sleeve. Because, like, he opens with, like, how can you work for him, right? Like, that's a very emotionally written kind of statement to me. And I think he's a guy that he can't keep his emotions in check. And his emotions, while they're a source of strength, could also very likely lead to a downfall. So I really like the interplay here of the very emotional Azteca and the very calm, I don't know if I necessarily want to say calculating, but I will, Black Lotus. Great interplay of personalities here.
I wouldn't say calm. I would say more disconnected. It's like she's kind of separated. It's like she separated herself from this whole, like, really.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost like she's like deluded herself into thinking that this is all a dream, and the fact that she killed Azteca hasn't even really fully registered with her yet, even though this is months later.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. I've got nothing else to add to this. We can move on.
All right, so up next, we had second match. No, Dario's office. We go inside the office. We were just outside the office, then we go inside the office, and we see Daga for the first time. And Cueto introduces Daga to the concept of the Gift of the Gods medallions, and Daga, being the ignorant pig that he is, says that they look like regular old gold coins. God, I hate this guy.
Hey, you may not be alone, because the look that Dario gave him, like, bitch, you serious?
I know. That's how I felt. I was like, how dare you?
I love your indignance. It's adorable. But yeah, Dario does smarten Daga up. And he's like, no, these are Aztec medallions. And I still appreciate this, watching this again, that even though we didn't know a lick about Daga, they want you to know immediately that he is a big deal or has the potential to be a big deal, because his first match is for one of these medallions against a guy who has been around a while. And if you know your AAA history, like we do when it's relevant, facing a legitimately big deal in Tejano, who, while he's never really connected for me in Lucha, doesn't take away at all from what he's done in the business thus far. So yeah, we get Daga versus Tejano later tonight for one of the Aztec medallions. And see, can I just mention too about the cinematic? I love, again, the pacing overall of the Lucha Underground universe, because even though we have a trios tournament going on, we're still getting stuff like, oh, well, that's going on. We're also going to be starting the distribution of the medallions for the Gift of the Gods Championship. I love that. I love that this show does not let up for a second. And if it does, it's only to lay the groundwork for something monumental that will take your breath away all over again. So yeah, really appreciated everything about this.
Yeah. And I mean, hell, man, why would it let up? It's got no reason to, and I love that.
Exactly.
So then we do get to our second match of the night, and it is Daga versus Tejano, as we just kind of found out in that last segment. And this match was really fast-paced to start, and then it kind of slowed down a little bit before the finish.
Yeah, I remember when we first remarked on this, and I think you gave like your personal review later. I know you weren't too blown away by Daga, and I believe your reasoning was like you've seen people like him before in the temple, and I think you were looking for something like from him to stand out. Watching this again, I mean, do you stand by those opinions? Have they changed somewhat? Like, how would you reassess Daga in this moment watching this match again?
I think my biggest problem that I originally had with Daga was that I expected strong style, and there was nothing strong style about this match at all.
Right.
So really, it was not so much that I didn't like him, it was that he didn't live up to my expectations. But now going into it, just like, well, I remember not liking Daga, so I have no expectations. I mean, yeah, he's all right. I mean, he's not bad by any means, but he's not, there's nothing about him that I would say makes him like a big like standout that makes me like, oh man, I really hope we get him in season 4, because apparently he had some kind of visa issues and couldn't be around for the tapings for season 3. But like, I don't really miss him either, because I feel like the purpose that he served, we'll find out later on in the season who, but the purpose he served was to make somebody else way more interesting.
Yeah, and I gotta say, dude, and I don't say this to be rude, because it's nothing against Daga personally, but I think Daga is the perfect kind of template why having a distinctive personality or character is so important in this business. Because if I'm being honest, he didn't do anything in this match that I didn't think to myself, oh, Johnny Mundo can't do that, or Ricochet can't do that, Prince Puma. Like, even offensively, he did stuff that I think I've seen other guys do. In fact, I know I have. And whether they've done it better or worse, I mean, that's a matter of debate. But you get my point on the whole. There was really nothing unique there. Good back and forth match. Not a bad match by any means. It's just, what does either guy, because again, I'm not really that big on Tejano, really bring to the table. But Tejano does get the win with the sit-out power bomb. And yeah, he claims the first Aztec medallion. So we start down the road of Gift of the Gods.
And I feel like that was another thing too, was that they does this thing where they really don't care about debuting talents winning their matches, and most of the time they actually lose their matches. But I will say I didn't have a problem with the PJ Black thing, because he lost to the Mac, and it was the Mac, and the Mac was on a hot streak, and he was having a great season and stuff, and it helped him to kind of recover any credibility he might have lost in the match with Cage from the previous season. But honestly, I think this was a mistake. I think you had to put Daga over here just because, like, nobody cares about Tejano, man.
Yeah, nobody cares about Tejano, and where I think it was a mistake personally, because see, I would have been cool with either outcome had Daga just gotten like a jobber entrance almost, and like we were just seeing him for the first time in that context. But you gave him a cinematic with Dario Cueto, and Dario even said like, your stock is really rising in Mexico. Like, you're a big deal over there right now. So you give like all of that hype in the preceding segment, and then he loses to Tejano, which, I mean, to be fair, Dario also talked him up in the same cinematic, but it seemed like the focus really was on Daga. So
honestly,
yeah,
this almost felt like Lucha Underground just being like, this guy's getting really hot in Mexico, but there's this other guy who's been way hotter in Mexico for way longer, and we're gonna let him win.
right. And even if you want to look at it from a
Because
hierarchy,
that's pretty much Tejano. Tejano was Daga before Daga even happened. You know, like that Tejano is not only is he the longest reigning AAA or Mega Champion of all time, but he's also the youngest AAA Mega Champion of all time. So like he is every bit the Mexican sensation that they played Daga up as being in this episode, and it kind of makes you wonder if that was kind of the point that they were trying to get across here.
I mean, possibly. And you know what? Like I did say earlier, and I'd be a hypocrite if I redacted that statement here, because I said earlier, and it may have been when we were talking about episode 11, that I do love that there is like a very apparent hierarchy, it seems, in Lucha Underground, especially around this time, with Matanza as our champion. And yeah, I mean, Daga just came in, and even though Tejano really hasn't done anything worthwhile, he has put in the time at Lucha Underground. He's more established, so it would make sense that he goes over. It's just one of those things that where you're like, was it really the right call? And I still would have given it to Daga personally, but I can't say that I don't understand why Lucha Underground like didn't go that way, because I could see why they'd give the W.
I almost wonder if Lucha Underground had any bigger plans for Daga for season 3, and that obviously would have had to fall through. And the main reason that I say that is because it kind of almost seems like they brought him in to be almost like a lower card guy.
Right. Yeah.
Because they brought him in and he immediately loses this match to Tejano, who is far from a main eventer in Lucha Underground. It's not like, they brought this guy in and had him lose to a top talent or anything. Like Tejano has kind of been that like perpetual mid-card, like the Jack Swagger of Lucha Underground kind of guy.
Right.
I feel like the next time we see Daga, I think he has like a match with Cobra Moon or something like that, or maybe like Money. Like I feel like his next match is against a female. I don't remember who it is, and I think he might win that. But then there's like that 4-way match that he has won, or no, he only wins because of someone else letting him get the pin.
Right.
So like the entire time, Daga isn't really treated as like this overly credible character, which kind of makes me wonder if like they didn't really bring him in to be a big deal. They just kind of brought him in because there was a little buzz and they wanted to kind of see if he could get over in the temple. I feel like that's kind of what they did with Davari too, because with Davari they kind of just brought him in, let him run his gimmick on television or in front of the people in the temple. It didn't get over, so they just kind of let him go. And now, I mean, they might not have necessarily wanted to let him go for season 3, but they didn't really have much of a choice because of the visa stuff. So I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it's just kind of it's weird because every time we get one of these like big like Cueto introducing someone to the temple, I feel like it has to be like a big deal, but maybe the big deals are the ones who get vignettes, and Daga didn't even get a vignette.
That is true. That's an excellent observation. So I guess we'll have to keep a keen eye out for those kinds of things in the future, especially when season 3 resumes. But I've said all I can say about this match. Again, Tejano did win with the sit-out powerbomb and claim the first medallion. If you have anything to add, we can move on.
Yeah. So then we got a weird, like, I want to say backstage, but I don't even know if it is backstage. It could be anywhere. It could be nowhere. You don't know.
Yeah.
But Katrina informs Mil Muertes at their like shrine that they have that Mil is always just chilling out at, that his disciples wish to beg his forgiveness, and that we get some weird stuff going on here, John.
Yep. He sees them, kneeling before him. He says, "Rise," and like doesn't even really say anything after that. Just like, leave us, and they leave. And then it just comes down to Mil and Katrina talking, and she says they will not fail you again. They will get one step closer to the trios titles, after they win this tournament. And I think she said this is all going to happen next week. So next week, the Disciples of Death are going to have their match. And Mil is going to face Matanza for the Lucha Underground Championship next week. And I love how Katrina kind of builds Matanza up here, because she says, like, he pretty much the greatest adversary you've ever faced. Maybe.
I mean, you say that, but it's not like, like she builds him up, but did he really need any more building up at this point? It's freaking Matanza.
I just like that even people that you'd think wouldn't give him his due are giving him his due. And
right.
She even says, like, maybe even more destructive and fearsome than the earthquake that made you. I love that line, like comparing Matanza to the earthquake that made Mil Muertes, and then Mil, kind of does this screaming, pumping up thing, and it's great. It's great. And next week, man, Mil Muertes versus Matanza, cannot wait to talk about that on Rewatch.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's gonna be great. Rewatch is. It really is our only line to Lucha Underground until it comes back on May 31st. So this is a lot of fun. Up next, though, we move on and we get our third and final match of the night. It is another trios match, and it is El Dragon Azteca Jr., Prince Puma, and Rey Mysterio Jr. versus
Taya, Johnny Mundo, and the Neanderthal. Oh, I'm sorry, Cage. Cage, that's right. I just thought Neanderthal.
You just sound so done with everything Cage and the Neanderthal.
Look, I'm sorry, but when I was watching Perfection and Taya and Johnny together as a unit make their entrance, who just barges through and interrupts the flow? Cage. This guy. Do you have effect? Are you completely stupid? I'm genuinely curious. Like, an entrance is being made, and you're just like, no, my turn. I'm gonna go to the ring. I'm gonna do my stuff. Like, shut up. You brute, you mindless brute. Like, oh my God, just go in a corner and just let Johnny and Taya do the work. Which, if Cage would have done that, would have been the biggest contribution he would have made to this goddamn match. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What did you think?
Do you really think that Taya and Johnny would have been able to win this match 2v3 handicap style?
Yes. What kind of question even is that? See, this is why you're not even real journalism. Could they have won a 2-on-3? It might as well have been a 2-on-3 with Cage's, like, fucking appearance, except it wasn't. It was more like 4-on-2. Now, that is an uneven freaking scale, even with the magnificent ability of Taya and Mundo. I was appalled by this. But again, getting a little ahead of myself, what did you think about this match? Share with us your opinions on it.
There you go.
There I go. That's it. That's all you're going to give us? Come on. This was like an amazing main event. You've got to have more to say than that.
It was a lot of fun, but I feel like everything that I have to say would, like, draw your ire.
Draw my eye. Look, you're not the enemy here, okay? Cage is the enemy. Look, we can all speak openly. Just say what's on your mind.
Okay, I feel like Cage carried the team.
I hope you get shot in the fucking face! What? What? No, it's like you say about Charlotte fans. It's cool that you have an opinion, but you're wrong. And that's really what I'm telling you. It's cool that you have an opinion, but you're wrong. Cage carried the team? Okay, look, I'm a fair guy. I'd like to think that. Give us your evidence. How did Cage carry the team?
Well, it seems like Johnny Mundo and Taya were doing relatively well, but a lot of the times they got overwhelmed by the numbers, and then Cage overcame the numbers because he did a lot of, like, 2v1 stuff, and he came out on top of those interactions for the most part.
Now, I will concede that there were 2v1 interactions where Cage was impressive, but where Cage had his biggest weakness that, to me, compromised the entirety of the team.
Hard-headedness,
and his communication was abysmal. Johnny wants to introduce a chair. Cage says, no, we don't need a chair. Johnny Mundo goes to the top rope. I mean, sure, can I confess that maybe he cut Cage off? Sure, but look, in the heart of competition, when you're in the throes of it, adrenaline takes over. I can't fault Johnny Mundo for that, for being an athlete, for being an exemplary athlete at that. No, it's not his fault. It happened. But you know what also happened? Cage, the guy that carried the team, apparently got so fed up not being able to be the Neanderthal that he is, not abiding by his rudimentary programming, that he threw a fucking hissy fit and hit a discus lariat on Mundo. And as we can clearly see, that discus lariat, that point right there, was the beginning of the end for this team. Because then Mundo ate everything else. So, who cost this team? Cage. Who better than Cage? Johnny Mundo. Yeah, Johnny Mundo. Fucking suck a railroad spike. As far as the triumvirate of Azteca, Ray, and Puma, I mean, the synergy was off the fucking charts here. I love them, and this is going to be the only sincere moment I have because my salt levels are lethal. You really had 6 incredible performers here, and it's main events like this that, like, if there was a best of Lucha Underground DVD, I mean, it might as well be the same as, like, an ultimate pack containing all of season 1 and 2. But, if you really had to, like, cherry pick, I would hope this match would make the cut, because this was really fucking good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Honestly, though, dude, I mean, the DVD would have to be like 10 hours for us to get to this match, because that's just how much amazing content they pack into these seasons. And the crazy thing is, I say 10 hours, but really, if you look at the grand scope right now, I feel like I'm trying to think of, because there were 39 episodes, but there were 40 hours in season 1. And there were 26 episodes, but there were 27 hours in season 2. So that's 67 hours plus the 19 hours that we've had so far of season 3. So that's 86 hours. And me saying that this would be in a 10-hour package of the best of Lucha Underground, it means that this is like, a top 12%. Like, it would be in like the top 12% of all Lucha Underground matches. And that's great.
Yeah, I mean, everything about this dude works. The miscommunication on the one team, because obviously Johnny and Taya are feuding with Cage. The synergy of the other team, because they have those common bonds. Again, Ray, in the cinematic where this team comes together, says that he found Puma a lot like the original El Dragon Azteca found, El Dragon Azteca Jr. So they have this common thread that's all woven together. So you have two narratives working side by side, and there's even a synergy with the narratives. And yeah, the back and forth between everybody just works. Yes, Cage is always astounding in ring. I have given him praise many times here. That's why I hope that people catch when I talk seriously about Cage, and not just when I'm feeling my Johnny scumbagness and like my Mundo markiness, because yeah, I will always give him props. The guy's incredible, and I think one of the best kept secrets in Lucha Underground. Like, really one of the best things they have.
It's funny because I was actually thinking during this match, like, Cage is stiff, but I don't know if I've ever heard anything about him ever injuring anyone. Like, I feel like he's way more likely to injure himself by doing a flip onto his own head than injure anyone else. Like, he's stiff, but he's a safe worker, which is crazy for someone his size and whose style is really as reckless as his is. Yeah,
and dude, as long as he knows consistently how to walk that line between working a style like that but doing it safely.
Yeah.
Wherever he goes. Because here's the thing, dude, and it's funny,
I'm sure he hurts people all the time, but I don't think I've ever heard of him injuring anyone, and there's a big difference.
There is a big difference, because look, being hurt comes with the territory. And they know that. But nobody asks, like, hey, I hope I get injured on the job today, because, yeah, it's the fucking job and everybody's got to make money. And Cage knows that. So, like, yeah, he'll put a hurting on you, which just contributes to a great show. But he'll never hurt you so bad that you can't put the bread in your mouth.
Right.
And,
we've already heard stories of Brock Lesnar actually injuring people.
Exactly.
Like, Cage is like Brock Lesnar 2.0, but, like, safer, which is weird.
Yeah, to continue with the whole machine analogies and everything, with the bugs worked out as far as I'm concerned.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, though, and I'm happy for him, because I think he's just an incredible performer on the indie scene right now and on Lucha Underground. And here's the thing: obviously, everybody I love, I want them to stay in Lucha Underground till the end of time. But, if Cage ever takes on other things, like, it's going to come to a point where everybody will want him. And yes, I mean everybody, because the one thing about WWE, they are petty ass motherfuckers. And at the same time, though, if his profile gets raised enough, which I have no reason to think that it won't, they'll put money on the table. It's just a question of whether Cage would accept it or not. Because
I was going to say, but John, he's average at best.
Yeah, and you know what? Seeing what he'll do, because his stock's only going to continue to grow. It can't go any other direction when you're as good as Cage is. They're going to put that money on the table, and it's really a question of whether Cage will take that money or not. And if he does, I'll be saddened, but I guess I can understand it. I just hope that he continues his work here, because not only is he like this powerhouse, but as we've seen, before this, and as we certainly see after this, he's got a character and a story going on that just keeps me hooked. He's one of the best things going on in the temple right now. You guys already know how much I love Johnny and Taya, so I'm not even going to go there anymore than I already have. And the triumvirate, Rey, Azteca, and Puma, I love all three of these guys. And it's funny to say that I love Rey and Lucha Underground, but yeah, I really enjoy how he's been utilized. May only have like one or two complaints, but we haven't even gotten to the point where I could air those out appropriately. But yeah, these guys are fantastic. This main event was so much fun. And partner, unless you have anything you want to add, we can get to our final segment of this episode.
I actually just looked in chat and saw Zero Cool saying that Cage has already said that his dream is New Japan. So if he goes anywhere, he'll go there. That, to me, is perfect. I want Cage versus everyone in New Japan. I want Cage Shibata. I want Cage Ishii. Brandon in chat already said he wants Cage versus Shibata as well. Caltag Star said that he wants Cage versus Elgin. Someone else, Zero Cool again, said Ishii. So yeah, like there are some. I mean, even like guys that I don't have a ton of interest in, you put them against Cage and they're interesting. Like I want Cage versus Goto. That would be interesting to me. Cage versus Tenzan would be interesting. Cage versus Nagata would be great. And then like you get to the dream matches. Cage Okada. Hello.
Yeah, Cage, Omega, Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. Cage Naito, yes, please.
Yes. Dude, Cage, when I think about the type of performer Cage is, he seems like a natural fit, like a hand in the glove for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, I'd love to see him in a G1 Climax.
Oh, God. And, of course, Caltag Star brings up Cage versus Fale.
Yeah, I'd love to see him in a G1 Climax. Hell, him and Elgin as the unbreakable fucking machines going after the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Titles or entering a G1 Tag League. Yeah.
Unbreakable effing machines. Come on now.
I apologize, but you get my point. I think Cage could do a lot there. And yeah, if he wants to go there, I wholeheartedly support that for sure.
Oh, God. Javaris might just break you. Cage versus Suzuki.
I'd love to see Suzuki bend Cage like a pretzel and show that every machine breaks down. So I'd have no problem with that whatsoever.
Suzuki is the Rust.
Exactly. There you go.
All right. Well, I mean, now that we've kind of gotten through that, the only thing that's left is this whole thing about Matanza versus Milk happening next week.
Yeah, because in our final cinematic, we get Dario going to see Matanza. And what did you think about this, man?
I didn't actually write any notes about the segment because all I know is that they announced that Matanza versus Mill would be next week.
Okay. I mean, I enjoyed this interaction because, I mean, we see Matanza behind the bars and Dario kind of like stroking the face affectionately.
I know Dario like pumps him up and gets him really like angry.
Yeah, he pumps him up. And then the one moment that to me makes this relationship so interesting, he says, you know why I lock you up, don't you? What do we do with our valuables? We protect them so that nobody can hurt them. And you're the most valuable thing in the world to me. So Dario rationalizes kind of caging up Matanza, saying, no. I do it because you're the most valuable thing in the world to me. Again, it's that like almost sociopathic like quality. Like I can rationalize anything. And Dario certainly does that here. Yeah, I thought this was a great cinematic because then you see Matanza shaking the bars and like, and Dario's got like this smirk like, oh, yes, he's ready. The violence will be glorious next week. And
it's like an angrier, infinitely more intimidating version of Tina's nervous.
Exactly. And yeah, with that said, we go off the air with that. And yeah, that's Lucha Underground episodes 11 and 12, which just about wraps up our rewatch. So, brother, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah.
It's kind of funny because we're in review mode, and I feel like we have to go into high spots and low shots, but I don't think we actually do that for these shows, do we?
No, we don't. And I was even getting ready to say, like, all I was going to say was I've thoroughly enjoyed this. It was, again, a great batch of episodes. I'm thankful for everybody that was able to join us for this, and you can take us home.
Alrighty, everyone. We hope that you all enjoyed listening to us talk about Lucha Underground Season 2, Episodes 11 and 12. We hope that everybody who is watching Lucha Underground on Netflix is either completely caught up by now or is at least watching as we go. A couple episodes a week, just trying to keep up with it, trying to stay on track. And, man, talking about everything on this show did nothing but make me that much more excited for when Season 3 comes back on May 31st. It can't get here soon enough. I think we're down to, 6 weeks away now, or is it still 7?
I think we're 6 weeks away.
No, it's 7. It's 7.
It's 7, yeah. May 31st, yeah. So 7 weeks. But hey, we made it this far. 7 weeks won't be anything by comparison to what we've already endured. Bring it on.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, guys, I feel like a lot of people don't really know about this, but apparently the reason that the season was kind of split and dragged out a little bit is because the El Rey Network specifically, like Lucha Underground officials had nothing to do with this. They didn't even know that there was going to be a split. The El Rey Network, though, decided that they have new content and a new show that they want to be debuting probably sometime in September or October. And they wanted to be able to run the show immediately following Lucha Underground because Lucha Underground is the most popular show on the network. And they want Lucha Underground fans who watch on the El Rey Network to stick past the end credits and watch the following show. So they're using this season break to not necessarily drag the season out. That's not the goal. The goal is to just place the season in a spot where the most popular episodes, Ultima Lucha 3, fall at the time that they want to debut this new TV show. So people are watching that, and then when the show ends, they're so mind blown by Ultima Lucha that they don't even change the channel, and they end up watching this new series as well. So the whole thing with Lucha Underground is evil, they're trying to drag out Ricochet's contract and stuff like that. It's first of all, it's got nothing to do with Lucha Underground. They didn't know what was happening. They have nothing to do with it. But second of all, there's nothing evil or malintent about it. It's just the El Rey Network trying to use Lucha Underground's popularity to launch some new content. And that's how you grow the network. That's their whole goal is to try and grow the network. The network is very small and very, very unknown. And this is just their attempt at trying to make it more popular. And they're using the most popular show on the network, Lucha Underground, to try and do that. So Lucha Underground has been great, not only to us, but obviously to the El Rey Network. We're looking super forward to May 31st when it finally comes back. And we are going to be covering it as always. And until then, we're just going to keep doing these rewatch episodes. And the final episode of this season 2 of Lucha Rewatch falls on May 31st. So at 3 p.m. that day, we'll be doing Ultima Lucha Dos, parts 2 and 3. And then that night at 8 p.m., we'll be doing live reactions to season 3, episode 20. And if I'm not mistaken, it'll be the all-night long match between Mac and Mundo. So that's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. I'm so freaking excited about it. And make sure, guys, that you all check out the description because we have links to all the playlists that you would be interested in down there. Remember to leave a like, comment when the video is processed, subscribe, click the bell, donate to our Patreon, buy a t-shirt, follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook, and check out our subreddit. And we will see you all next Tuesday for our SmackDown live reactions. And then, of course, Lucha Rewatch the following day, yet again, for covering episodes 13 and 14. So hopefully you all enjoyed this, and hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. And make sure that you all stay tuned.